Hi, Ben here from Trident Fly Fishing. I'm really excited today to bring you the brand new Loomis Asquith. In a year full of really exciting new rod releases, the Asquith might be the best of the best. The Asquith is a brand new rod from Loomis that replaces the NRX as their top of the line rod, and it's built totally differently from any previous Loomis rod. The blank is actually built by Shimano in Japan. It's still designed by Steve Rajup in Washington. They're rolled and finished right here in the US. But the actual graphite is made in Japan. Now what else is great about this rod is that it uses really top-of-the-line construction. It's what they call Spiral X. So rather than a traditional graphite blank, this Spiral X technology reduces ovalization, makes the rod a lot stronger, and a lot lighter. And you'll see how that plays into how this rod casts a little bit later in our review. Let's start out like we always do by showing you some of the great features on this new rod. So starting from the bottom, this rod is very similar to the NRX. It's got the same small fighting butt, which moves on to a double uplocking reel seat with a carbon insert. The grip is also very similar. It's a nice, comfortable, full wells grip. And then as we move up the blank, you'll notice some of the key differences, which are the Spiral X technology and the color. Rather than a black or green blank in the earlier version of the NRX, this is kind of a dark green, almost black rod that's only going to be made in one version, at least for now. You can also see the Spiral X technology and see how that makes the blank shimmer. I think it's a pretty cool effect and lets you know that you're fishing with a really high-tech rod. Moving on up, the other key difference from the NRX is going to be these stripping guides. While they are titanium, they're more traditional than the recoil guides we're used to seeing on the NRX. What also is important, particularly for saltwater anglers, is that these are narrower in diameter than we saw in the NRX, which are already a pretty narrow diameter stripping guide. So if you hook into that bonefish and you've got a tangle in your line, don't expect it to slip through these guides really easily. Finally, the Asquith comes with the same alignment dots that we're used to seeing from Loomis and we really like, and it's finished up with the same titanium snake guides. Now we're gonna get to the really important part, which is how this rod casts, and we're gonna give you a bonus by comparing the new Asquith to the NRX in our 8-weight Loomis Saltwater Shootout. Here it goes. Up first is the Asquith at 40 feet, and I really love this rod at short distances. It's super, super accurate. I only wish that I had a Meridian to compare it to today, because that's the only rod that's ever going to be able to touch it. Loops are incredibly tight, accuracy is incredibly good. I'm just bashing this target every single time. It's a 10 out of 10, no question about it. So we've got the NRX here at 40 feet, and it's definitely not as nice of a rod at this short distance as the Asquith. Still really good, you know, maybe a 9 out of 10, but it's just harder to get that accuracy that you get with the Asquith. And it's also just not quite as light and easy to cast. Backing up to 60 feet, we've got the Asquith yet again, and I'm really impressed by how this rod performs at our middle distance. 60 feet is a distance that you're gonna have to cast a lot as a saltwater angler. And the Asquith is really accurate, and more importantly, it's really light. It makes it easy to make these longer casts all day long. Following the Asquith again is the NRX at 60 feet. And yet again, I'm pleasantly surprised to say that the Asquith is the better rod. It's not a lot better at 60 feet, but it's definitely a more accurate rod, and it's just a lot lighter and easier to cast. What's odd though is that the NRX seems to be a little bit faster. Seems to give you more easy access to distance. Backing up to 80 feet for our final saltwater distance. Got the Loomis Asquith up first. And again, this rod is really, really accurate. I'm very impressed at how well I'm able to hit targets here, even at 80 feet. I will say that I'm definitely having to work at it, but it's a fast, powerful rod that does have a good degree of accuracy. While I like the Asquith at 80 feet, it's pretty clear that its older brother, the NRX, is the better rod for casting long distances. It's got more power throughout the rod and just makes these long casts easier to execute. You get higher line speed with less effort. It's exactly what you want in a rod designed for long distances. I'm going to give the NRX a 9.5 out of 10 at 80 feet and the Asquith an 8.5 out of 10 at 80 feet. So after casting both the NRX and the Asquith, it's pretty clear that Loomis made some minor tweaks to the new Asquith in terms of their taper. Most evidently is at 40 feet, where the Asquith was the clear winner. It's really one of the finest rods I've cast at that shorter distance. It's got to be right up there with that Scott Meridian. While the NRX and the Asquith were pretty close, 60 feet, the Asquith still edged it out. But at 80 feet, I really felt that the greater power of that NRX made it the more powerful rod overall, and it's just better at getting line out there further. So, should you go out and buy this new Asquith? Well, one thing that we haven't really covered is weight. The Asquith weighs 3.75 ounces versus 4.25, 4.3 ounces on that NRX. That's a half an ounce of savings. That's pretty substantial. And a lot of that savings actually comes from the top 3 sections as opposed to the grip and the reel seat, where we see a lot of manufacturers trying to shave weight. So it's really a lot lighter of a casting rod as well. On the other hand, it also comes with an increased price tag, the Asquith being the most expensive rod, 8-weight rod on the market today from any major manufacturer at $1,100. But if you're bone fishing, if you're fishing flats on foot, the new Asquith is really a fantastic rod. It's going to help you catch more fish, and because of that lighter weight, you're going to have more fun on the water. After we finished our test, I wanted to go out and see how the Asquith would cast with a much lighter line. So I strung up Rio bonefish, which, and I'm not sure about the exact grain weights, but is pretty significantly lighter than that Bouchard taper. And wow, I was really impressed with how this Asquith performed. So I definitely recommend checking out the Asquith with either a Rio bonefish or an SA bonefish. Both of these lines are going to give you higher line speed and make it a more useful rod overall than the Bouchard taper. As I mentioned before, the Asquith retails for $1,100 and is available with free second-day shipping from TridentFlyFishing.com. If you have questions about either the Asquith or the NRX, don't hesitate to give us a call at 888-413-5211 or email us 24/7 at support@TridentFlyFishing.com. And don't forget, if you like this video, drop us a comment in the box below. I'm Ben. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.